What's up, Misfit Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Misfit Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Matt the Misfit. Tonight, we're going to go over AEW Full Gear 2022. What a show this was. Maybe a step into the right direction. Getting out of the funk of All Out from September back where all that stuff with CM Punk, the Elite, and all that stuff took place, where it seems like we're going in a new direction here. New champions crowned, 3 new champions crowned, 1 title change. I predicted the title change, it's just not the person I thought it was going to be. And we have a new AEW champion in MJF. We have a new AEW Women's champion in Jamie Hayter. Thank the Lord, Tony Khan, you did the right thing. The Elite are back. Saraya had her first match back in 4 years, which I believe it was 4 years, which was fine. We'll get to that. If you like what you see here, please hit the comment section, comment down below, hit the subscribe button, like button, all that jazz of that stuff on the YouTube side. Go to the Twitters on Twitter, go to @MisfitWrestleTV, follow that social media, then go to the Instagrams, because Instagram may be here longer than Twitter, I don't know, maybe, @MisfitWrestlingPod, on Facebook, Misfit Wrestling Podcast, right here on youtube.com/@MisfitWrestlingPodcast. After I get all those things out of the way, finally, let's talk about this incredible show. The show opened, the show was not bad, actually. I think this show was a little bit better than All Out, and 10 times better than Double or Nothing, in my opinion. So we had a total of 8, 9, 10, 11 matches, something like that. We had 3 pre-show matches. We had regular matches on the main show. On the 0 hour, we kicked off with the Factory, QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, Nick Camarado, Lee Johnson, and Cole Carter taking on Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta, Chuck Taylor with Rocky Romero from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Danhausen came out as the evil Danhausen, which I thought looked pretty cool. Fun little match to get the crowd hyped. Match began. Of course, there was no Danhausen at the start. Marshall was taken down by Best Friends and Rocky Romero. The Factory, in control of the match. Hugged in the middle of the ring. They did the Best Friends big group hug thing. Danhausen then made his way to the ring. Marshall tried to drag Cassidy into the steel steps as when Danhausen came out. Danhausen picked up the win for his team when he hit some type of move on him or whatever it was. Danhausen actually did some wrestling moves because it was a very evil Danhausen. So that was pretty cool to see. Best Friends Best Friends win here. Pick up the win. Like I said, fun little match. It won't be the last time we saw Orange Cassidy tonight, or Danhausen for that matter. They were featured a little bit later on in the main show. Next up, we had Renee Paquette interviewing the latest recruit, latest signee, Katesha. Was now All Elite. He said he's moving to, and I'm sorry if I butchered that name. I usually butcher his name quite a bit. You know who I'm talking about. Konosuke. I'm not gonna call him Konosuke because that's people know who I'm talking about. He said he's moving to America and he will be fighting for his life in AEW. Great pickup from AEW. Konosuke is my rookie, well, not rookie of the year, but I wouldn't call him a rookie of the year. I won't call him a rookie, but I don't know what I would label him at, but to me he's like the new cat in town that I'm enjoying, and I think he's fantastic. So great pickup by AEW. Next up, we had Brian Cage, which I didn't know this was happening. This match was actually happening here. Brian Cage, Ricky Stark, AEW Eliminator Tournament semifinals, because they're moving the finals to Dynamite next week, which is didn't make a lot of sense to me, but okay. Ethan Page was on the commentary for this match. It's not a bad match, but the story of the match is Ricky Starks coming off his win against Lance Archer, in favoring his ribs and all that stuff that went down after Ricky Starks rolled up Lance Archer for the win on Rampage last night. Hit the round Shambo for the win to advance to the finals. It's going to be like a lot of people can predicted. Based on what happened at the end of the show, I'm going to make a prediction right now that's going to be Ricky Starks is going to win the AEW tournament thing and is going to face MJF at Winter is Coming. So that's what I think is going to happen. We had a promotional video for AEW Fight Forever. The video actually was PlayStation kind of not leaked it, but accidentally revealed it early because it was supposed to be revealed tonight. We saw some cool stuff, and then we saw Orange Cassidy announced for the game, and MJF, 2 new names added to the game. We saw the first look at Lights Out, a match with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. The thumbtacks, and which I think is cool to see in a wrestling game is real thumbtacks in a wrestling game, which is cool. We had a video package hyping up Saraya's return to the ring, which they aired a little later on as well. Renee is interviewing the emotional Eddie Kingston for his match against Akiyama. We go to the match with the Akiyama match. It's fun. It's a fine match. Eddie Kingston wins with a spinning back fist that he does. Akiyama from DDT Pro. This was the dream match that Eddie Kingston was talking about for a long time that he wanted, and he got that match. So that was basically the 0 hour. Eddie Kingston's the king of 0 hour right now. Then we open to the main card, steel cage match, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, and Luchasaurus. Fire opener, by the way. This was a great opening match. On the commentary, you had Jim Ross, Excalibur. Well, for the first 3 hours of the show, it was Jim Ross, Excalibur, and Taz. Christian Cage comes out there with Luchasaurus. Jungle Boy, Jack Perry comes out there. Huge ovation for Jungle Boy. As the match starts, Jungle Boy somewhat getting his ass whooped by Luchasaurus at certain points at the beginning of this match. At one point, Christian tries to quietly takes the key away from one of the referees who had it against his belt, or either hanging outside of his pocket, one of the two. He tries to he does actually unlock the cage door. Security comes out to drag Cage away. The cage door opens. Luchasaurus attempts to help Christian, but Jungle Boy takes him down. Well, takes them all down in a way. Luchasaurus then sends Jungle Boy into the steel. When Undertaker. Okay, so just remember. Do you guys remember when Undertaker did the whatever he did to? I think it was the wheelbarrow to Michaels into Hell in a Cell. So that basically that spot. Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus sets up gets a table and 2 chairs, puts them in the ring. Jungle Boy begins to fight back once they get back into the cage. Jungle Boy lands a destroyer. Then follow that up by hitting Luchasaurus with a chair. Jungle Boy then drops Luchasaurus with a kill switch on the chair. Luchasaurus was able to kick out of that. Luchasaurus then replied with a chokeslam to the Jack Perry onto the steel chair. Luchasaurus and Perry, Jungle Boy landed on the canvas from the top turnbuckle that they were on, doing some moves up there. Both men sat up at the center of the ring. Luchasaurus looked to control the match and told Jungle Boy to stay down. Jungle Boy responded with the pile driver. Jungle Boy then set up the table. Luchasaurus smartly flipped over the table because at that point, Jungle Boy had a sleeper applied on Luchasaurus, and he tipped over the table so he doesn't to avoid going into the table, which was very smart. Luchasaurus landed a tombstone, followed up by his move that he does. Elliot's is like, I don't know, as like an inverted flapjack in a way, but in the style of a tombstone. Luchasaurus sets up the table again. Jungle Boy replied and placed Luchasaurus on top of the table, leaped from the top of the cage after hitting Luchasaurus in the face with a chair. Did the Macho Man elbow drop that Macho Man would be very proud of. Jungle Boy locks in the snare trap for the win, and Jungle Boy is your winner of the steel cage match. We're still going to get, at some point, whenever he is healed, Jungle Boy and Christian, which I'm assuming is going to happen at AEW Revolution, which we did find out about during this show. So let me look that up here. So, AEW Revolution also will be taking place at the Chase Arena in San Francisco, California. So that should be fun. Next up, we got the Trios match, which later we found out is part of a best of 7 series, which it's weird that we should find out after like an hour or so after this match, like 2 or 3 hours after this match. Actually, we should just find out about this being a best of 7 when the match started. Death Triangle taking on the Elite for the Trios Tag Team titles. This match was incredible. These 6 always have killer matches with each other. Fans chanted "Welcome back" at the Elite. Omega and Pac began the match as legal men. They did come out with "Carry On, Wayward Sons" with by Kansas, which was cool to see. I love that. The fans started chanting "Fuck CM Punk" and Colt Cabana, which should tell you that the AEW fan base does not want CM Punk back. Nick Jackson and Ray Phoenix were tagged in. They went back and forth, Matt Jackson, and then Penta was tagged in. Bucks collided with the Lucha Bros. Nick Jackson took Pac out to the floor. Omega at one point, who looks in phenomenal shape, if you think about it, he was gone for a year, and he looks like he's cleared like 100% healthy now because he did his Terminator suicide dive over the top rope. Death Triangle at one point worked on Omega in the corner. Pac busted his nose open as he was shown on the apron because you saw it. I don't know how it happened, but he did bust his nose open. Matt Jackson then sends Ray Phoenix and Penta over his shoulders at the same time. Omega eventually tagged back in to battle Pac. Omega took a dive over the top rope, which is the Terminator dive that I talked about. Matt Jackson delivered a DDT to Phoenix on the apron. Nick Jackson got into the spirit of things and heads Penta from the top turnbuckle onto the remaining competitors on the floor, which is a insane spot. Death Triangle delivered a triple tombstone back into the ring on all 3 members of the Elite, who were going to tombstone Death Triangle. Death Triangle delivered a combination of moves. Pac connected with a black arrow to Omega, and locked in a submission move. Not the black arrow. What's that move called? It's the Rings of Saturn, but it's the Brutalizer. There it is. Took me a while to remember what it was called. Moments later, Pac tosses a hammer to Ray Phoenix. Phoenix doesn't want to use it at first, Omega takes advantage, plants Phoenix into the mat before they start going back and forth. Pac passes the hammer to Phoenix again, with the referee distracted. Phoenix grabs the hammer or takes the hammer. Omega is getting ready to hit the one-winged angel, and Phoenix smashes Omega into the head, allowing for the Death Triangle to pick up the victory and retain the tag titles, or the trios titles rather. That I did not see that coming. That was not a prediction I had. I predicted my prediction was uh uh the Elite were going to win and the House of Black were going to come out. That didn't happen. But we are going to have a best of 7 series, which so tonight was match 1 between these two teams. Dynamite on Wednesday in Chicago. It'll be match 2. On November 3rd will be match 3. November 4th, our December 14th, if it goes to will be at Winter is Coming Holiday Bash for December 21st, if necessary. These next 3 matches, if necessary. December 28th, New Year's Smash, and then January 11th for Dynamite. Interesting enough, the Dynamite that's left out of this one, the date, January 4th. Maybe Omega is going to New Japan to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom against Will Ospreay. Who knows? We'll be talking about Will Ospreay tomorrow, but that's for another show. Next up, TBS Championship match. Jade Cargill retains against Nyla Rosa. One thing I did like about this was actually there's 2 things I did like about this. First one being Vicky Guerrero coming out with a Rhea Ripley shirt on, which fucking I died laughing at that. And Rhea Ripley did acknowledge it on social media later on. Jade Cargill coming out looking like my favorite character in ThunderCat's history, Chitara. Good stuff. The match was not all that great though. I don't really look. Y'all, I don't really get the appeal of Jade Cargill as a professional wrestler. Like, she's got a great look, don't get me wrong, but I don't think she's like that good in the ring. She's a great talker. She has a great look. But that's as far as it goes with me. I like Nyla Rosa as a person. She's great, but her as a wrestler, not really, But, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this. So there's that. Here's a very good match that we followed that up with. Chris Jericho defeated Bryan Danielson, Sammy Guevara, and Claudio Castagnoli to retain the ROH World Championship. Ian Riccaboni from Ring of Honor was on commentary for this match. This is some of my favorite things. My favorite parts were the Claudio Danielson stuff. At one point, at one point, Danielson had me convinced at like 2.99999 that we were getting a new Ring of Honor champion and Bryan Danielson. I almost lost it. I got excited. That's not what happened. We had a little scuffle between Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho. Guevara interrupted a pin from Chris Jericho. Jericho got hit with his own code breaker, kicked out of that code breaker. Jericho hit Guevara, then starts hitting the walls of Jericho on Jericho. It sounds weird to say. Jericho counter locked in some Guevara in the walls of Jericho. Chris Jericho then locked the hold on Danielson, then on to Claudio. Claudio then started locking the sharpshooter on Chris Jericho, which Jericho tapped out on Wednesday. Too. Danielson applied the label lock at the same time. Guevara interrupted both. They hugged. Guevara hugged Jericho, and then hit a GTH on Jericho, hitting a shooting star press, which I almost lost it in not a good way. That I thought, I'm like, they cannot put this title on Jericho on Guevara. Jericho kicks out. Danielson slaps the ever-living piss out of Sammy Guevara, which is great. Claudio tossed fucking Sammy Guevara over the top rope, then led into the running knee to Claudio, which I still thought like was the end of the match, and they had great back and forth. These two actually had a great one-on-one match last year on SmackDown. I believe it was the week after the Gauntlet, where we saw an incredible match within the Gauntlet between Bryan and Cesaro at the time Cesaro. So the eventual one-on-one match in AEW with the handcuffs off is going to be great. Guevara then eventually ended a cutter on Claudio. Guevara followed that up with a attempted Spanish fly, which was beautifully reversed into the fucking label lock, which looked incredible. I love Bryan Danielson so much. He is one of the best wrestlers in the world. On the outside, Claudio delivers a neutralizer to Danielson. So Danielson at this point is pretty much non-existent in this match. Guevara landed a shooting star press on to Claudio on the outside. Gets Claudio back in the ring, glimpse from the top turnbuckle, but Claudio catches him with a beautiful uppercut. Claudio starts swinging and doing the Cesaro swing. Jericho connects with the Judas effect on Guevara. It looked weird. I don't know how if it was supposed to be like that. And then they had it again on Claudio to retain the title. Fun little 4-way match. I can see them running something like this back at Final Battle, but I think I don't know what they're gonna do for Final Battle. We did find out that because like I said, we mentioned this earlier with Danhausen and Cassidy. We did find out that on Dynamite it's going to be Chris Jericho defending the Ring of Honor title against Tomohiro Ishii, which sounds a lot of fun. I think Ishii's wrestling on Start crossover in a few hours, so that should be fun. Next up, Saraya defeated Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. It was an alright match. Great to see back in the ring. But like it was a rocky match. It was also her first match back, so I'll let it slide. We saw Saraya's brother at ringside. Britt Baker started getting the advantage early. Sent Saraya down to the ring, clutched her neck, and Britt had this oh shit look like what did I do on her face. Saraya got backed up, and she did the fucking who did I say that was? She like Randy Orton it, sort of. I can't remember Randy Orton was who I compared it to, but it was somebody else. But Saraya got back up. She smiled. At one point, Saraya hit the page turner for the first near fall of her match here. Several times, Britt tried to go for the lockjaw, eventually getting it in. Saraya then countered that into a pin count that she kicked out. We saw 3 rampages. The third one connected for Saraya to get the win. Saraya looked emotional after her match, and when she came out, because again she didn't think she was going to get cleared to wrestle. So again, not the best Saraya match. I've seen better matches from her in NXT, but again, this is her first match to get her feet wet again. So I'll give it a slide. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It was in between. Next up, Wardlow defends the TNT Championship against the Ring of Honor TV champion Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. This is all right. A bunch of a hoss fight here. At one point, Wardlow uses athleticism, climbs to the top turnbuckles with his feet and takes out Joe and Hobbs behind him in the ring. Wardlow delivers a swanton to Wardlow delivers a swanton to Will Hobbs in the center of the ring. Wardlow went to the outside. Joe took out Hobbs. Wardlow returned to the ring and took out Hobbs and Joe at the same time. Then Wardlow and Hobbs fought on the outside. Joe delivers the suicide dive to take them both out. Powerhouse Hobbs then throws Joe back into the ring. Powerhouse Hobbs throws his body into Joe, collides with the barricade, which dented the chair, a chair that somebody was sitting on, which is insane. Back in the ring, while Powerhouse Hobbs takes his shoulder straps off, delivers a spine buster to Wardlow. Replied with two. Wardlow then entered the Powerbomb Symphony that he started doing. Wardlow landed a third powerbomb. Joe entered the ring with Wardlow's belt, smacked Wardlow with it, and then it proceeded to choke out Will Hobbs to win the TNT Championship. So next up, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal took on Sting and Darby Allin. No disqualification. Jeff Jarrett and Darby Allin start beating the hell out of each other. Sting is doing Sting things that he shouldn't be doing. Diving off of fucking balconies and shit like that. Seeing Sting and Jeff Jarrett wrestling in 2020, wrestling each other in 2022 is fucking weird to me. We heard a huge teenage jet broke out. There was a botch that I saw, though, that was kind of cool. I'll get that in a second. Sting was going to deliver a Scorpion Death Drop to Satnam Singh, but acted like he couldn't. Darby hit the coffin drop to help with that. Then Darby, I think, hit a coffin drop on Jeff Jarrett on the outside. At one point, Darby was going to go with the coffin drop on Lethal. Jarrett whacked Darby in the back with the guitar while made a coffin drop, which looked cool. The botch that I was talking about, Jay Lethal went for the lethal injection, and Sting was going to go for the Scorpion Death Drop, but the way it was a botch, but the visual of it actually made it look 10 times more worse, and it looked kind of cool. So it was kind of cool looking. Darby Allin then hit the coffin drop for the win. Sting and Darby Allin remain undefeated as a tag team in AEW. Maybe they'll go for the AEW tag team titles at Revolution or something. Next up, my personal favorite match of the night. Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter for the AEW Women's Championship. This crowd is 100% behind Jamie Hayter. They lock up as the bell ring. Hayter took Storm to the down with some side headlock. Storm and Hayter sent Storm sent Hayter to the floor. Toni Storm then drove Hayter into the apron. And then into the barricade. Hayter turned the tables and did the same thing to Toni Storm. Back into the ring, Jamie Hayter started taking control of the match. Hayter kept Storm grounded. Eventually returned to her feet. Storm eventually returned to her feet and fought back. Storm connected with a hip attack into the corner. They start exchanging strikes and blows in the center of the ring. Storm headbutted Hayter. Storm fell on top of Hayter after the headbutt. Get the 2 count. I believe that was the point where Toni Storm busted either her nose or her. So I think her nose got busted from that headbutt. Like I said, Hayter kicked out. Rebel came down to the ring. He tried to help. Failed immediately. Storm traded strikes with Hayter. Storm's nose, again, like I said, was busted open. Rebel, like I mentioned here, hit Storm with a the belt that she had. Hayter connected with the sliding lariat, but Storm was able to kick out. Referee noticed that Rebel was on the ring apron, asked what she was doing out here and why she also had the title. Rebel was sent to the back. Storm landed her own lariat. Wasn't enough to retain the gold. Britt Baker came out of nowhere and hit the curb stomp on Toni Storm on the belt. Hayter thought she had the match won here. Storm was kicked out again. Storm hits Storm Zero, and for the first time, I believe, in AEW, somebody kicks out of it, and that would be Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter connected the hate breaker, the backbreaker. Britt Baker was sent off the apron again because Hayter at one point was getting to do something. Britt Baker was trying to, remove the turnbuckle. Hayter sent Storm into the exposed turnbuckle. Britt Baker went flying. Hayter hit the ripcord lariat for the win. And the new AEW Women's Champion is Jamie Hayter. I popped huge for that. I love Jamie Hayter. She is, like I said, over as fuck with the fans. And they mentioned it on commentary. She has gained a following. Unlike All Out, where you should have put the titles on the Acclaimed that night, like you should have done a audible. Tony Khan learned from that mistake and corrected it here with Jamie Hayter and did the right thing. And Jamie Hayter is your new AEW Women's Champion, and I'm assuming they're going to do a title celebration on Dynamite, and they're going to do the Evolution putting on Randy Orton spot. Jamie Hayter's going to be the babyface, and Britt Baker's going to be heel, and that's going to be the match for the title, probably. Next up, another really good match. AEW Tag Team titles. The Acclaimed defeated Swerve and Glory to retain the tag titles. One point in this match. At one point in this match, Caster delivered a leg drop to the back of Lee. Caster then drove Swerve into the canvas. Anthony Bowens and Max Caster start working together. Bowens connected with a cutter on Strickland after Lee protected Strickland from going through the guardrail. Caster dived on the top rope and just took out Keith Lee, and they just went crashing to a safety rail that I didn't even notice was even put there. Or at least I knew it was put there, but I completely forgot about it. Caster, Strickland began building momentum in the ring. Strickland hit a fury of kicks on Anthony Bowens. Swerve went for a high risk move, missed. Max Caster tagged in and delivered an elbow to Swerve Strickland from the top rope. Keith Lee broke up the cover at the last moment. Keith Lee was tagged in. Keith Lee and Swerve combined, but Bowens kicked out of the cover that followed the combination of Lee and Swerve. Strickland sent Max Caster crashing through the table on the ring on the outside. Swerve started picking up pliers. Looks like he was gonna take off one of the Acclaims' fingers. Billy Gunn came out to make the save. Strickland gave Lee the pillars, but Lee threw them like out of the ring. Strickland then slapped Lee across the face. Lee pulled up Bowens, patted him on the back, and just walked out. Like he's like, "I'm tired of your shit," basically. Strickland was driven to the mat, and they Acclaimed win or retain the tag team titles due to Keith Lee saying, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." So we're finally getting that whole program with Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. So that should be fun. Main event. So main event here we have MJF, Jon Moxley, AEW Championship. Moxley struck. So this was very interesting to me. So MJF came in there as a babyface. Moxley is supposed to be a babyface, playing the ultra heel, getting booed out of the building. It was a very weird and strange dynamic. Moxley struck MJF into the face as the bell rang. Forearm smashes from Moxley. At one point, the MJF hit the Heat Seeker. Moxley was able to kick out. We've seen several ref bumps here. First ref bump, I believe, was the first rear naked choke. We've seen a Death Rider from the top turnbuckle. Gets a 2 count here. At one point, then we had another ref bump, trying again, get the rear naked choke on him. And MJF then pulls out the MJF then pulls out the dynamite diamond ring. Regal came down to advise MJF to put the ring down. And MJF threw it away. Moxley begins to do the choke out again. Another referee was knocked down. MJF taps when Moxley is choking him out, so the referee doesn't see this. Regal tells Moxley, "It's the ref. Go wake the ref up." And Regal just slips a brass knucks to MJF, and MJF uses the brass knucks on Moxley, and Moxley is laid out, and MJF is your new AEW World Champion. And that's how Full Gear went off the air with wondering what's next with MJF and William Regal and all that stuff. Like I said, Full Gear was actually a really good show. We're in a new direction here. We're looking at at AEW possibly without CM Punk for the foreseeable future. We have new champions, new TNT champion, new AEW Women's Champion, World Champion. The Elite are back. Saraya is back as a professional wrestler. Something else I forgot to mention, the Saraya match. I believe the cameras caught it, but not what was said. I believe Saraya said something to Britt after the match was over, like "thank you" or something. But that's what happened there. But overall, I give Full Gear tonight a good 7 out of 10. Match of the night for me. It's a toss up between Hayter and Storm and the Elite Death Triangle. It's one of those two. But what do you guys think? Tell me what you guys thought about Full Gear in the comments down section on the below there. Do all the notification stuff, like the bell, the subscribe button, all that jazz. The links for the social medias are going to be in the description. I will be back here hopefully sometime tomorrow. If not tomorrow, on Monday for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Stardom Historic Crossover show. Where the main event of that show is going to crown the first ever IWGP Women's Champion, and between Kairi Hojo and Mayu Iwatani. Kairi though had a phenomenal match with Saya Kamatani last night or earlier this morning. Went to a 30-minute draw. Great match last night or this morning it was. And Sherry and Utami had another banger of a match because again that's all they're capable of having. Those comedy TLC match between Stars and Donna Del Mondo. There was a point in that ladder match I busted out. A lot of people did, which I don't think was supposed to happen. So Julia's on the on the ladder. Hazuki just does a drop kick off the turnbuckle to the ladder. But these big ass ball that has this money in here, fell. Yeah, because the ladder knocked into it and it busted open. I don't think it was supposed to happen because everyone's reaction was like, "Oh my god!" But they recovered very quickly. But I will see you guys for the review for the New Japan Stardom show. Hopefully, either tomorrow or Monday. Until then, I have been Matt the Misfit. I will see you guys for the historic crossover review. Until then, we're out.